About the incidents, to give you an update on what happened here at Nob Hill. You'll hear from Chief Mons, Chief Russin, Mike Collins, and then I'll round it up with a statement about, we'll talk about what happened here yesterday. We'll talk about what we did concerning the tenants. We have some of our tenant advocates here today. And then we're going to talk about from my office where we're going from my office from here. So first up is Chief Michael Mons.
Good morning, everybody. I'm just going to reiterate some of the stuff that went out in our press release just to make a total picture of what we did yesterday. At approximately 4:10 a.m. yesterday, our firefighters responded to an intense structure fire right behind us in Building 3. When crews arrived, they encountered heavy fire and smoke coming from a first-floor apartment at the rear of the building. The fire was already very well advanced upon our arrival. The response was quickly upgraded to a second alarm, bringing additional fire crews to the scene due to the intensity of the fire conditions, the life threat to the occupants inside of the building, and the safety needs of our firefighters. There were 30 per mile wind gusts that created wind-driven blowtorch conditions. Flames extended nearly 10 feet from the apartment windows. Heat and smoke was rapidly forced into the hallways and stairways, making it impossible for any occupants to exit the building. A heavy fuel load inside the fire department, in addition to normal furnishings, these including tires and automotive parts, significantly contributed to the intensity of the fire. Our search crew from Truck 8 forced entry into the fire apartment, allowing the engine companies from 18 and 8 to advance and extinguish the apartment fire. Other engine companies from 3 and 1 simultaneously advanced hose lines throughout the higher floors of the building, while search and rescue operations were conducted under severe fire conditions. In total, 11 occupants from the building were rescued during our firefighting operations yesterday. Truck 3, they removed a family of 6 from the 4th floor. The rescue company, they located a barely conscious victim in an adjacent apartment who became unconscious during the removal and was immediately turned over to AMR for medical evaluation. They also assisted a mobility impaired resident from the 2nd floor, carrying him down to safety. An adult female was rescued from a 2nd floor balcony. That was one of our fire investigators and one of our captains on scene. And Truck Company 4, they removed 2 occupants from a 3rd floor balcony who was being overcome by smoke. Also, on the 1st floor, adjacent to the fire apartment, there were residents that needed to evacuate on their own, and some of them needed assistance from our firefighters to exit through windows in their apartments. This battle of the fire was tough because it was hard to move the smoke, and the wind was pushing the fire into the windows back into the building. We also had, which also made it really very hard, was we had multiple reports of unknown number of occupants in the building, including the legal residents and possible squatters who should not have been in the building. Because of that uncertainty, firefighters conducted thorough searches of every accessible area of the building that was affected by the fire. This fire was brought under control in about 1 hour, and it took 2 hours to completely make sure every bit of fire was extinguished. The damage was largely contained to the fire apartment, which was an area of origin, and there was extension to floors 2nd and 2 and 3 on the upper floors. During this fire, tragically, an individual was found deceased located in the apartment of origin. The Syracuse Police Department and the County Medical Examiner are working with us in this active fire investigation. Due to the fire, we also had 2 residents who were transported to the hospital with non-critical injuries, 1 elderly adult from the 2nd floor and 1 child from the 4th floor who was accompanied to the hospital with an adult. Due to the extreme heat and fire and the prolonged firefighter operations, multiple of our firefighters required on-scene medical rehabilitation provided by AMR. We do this to ensure that their vital signs are good and to prevent any heat-related injuries and to keep them safe during the extended incident. Other than the rehab, we had no other reports of firefighter injuries. But this fire was a wind-driven fire. These types of fires kill and injure firefighters and civilians all the time. So I'm extremely proud of the efforts of our firefighters yesterday. They rescued 11 occupants and they evacuated many more. I couldn't be more proud. I will repeat, this investigation remains active. It's a very complex investigation, and it's a joint one with the Syracuse Police Department, and that's all the information from the fire department right now.
Thank you, Chief Mons. As in many tragic situations, our police department partners with our fire department. And so now you hear from Chief Mark Russin.
Thank you. Good morning. So as the chief mentioned, we responded approximately 4:09 a.m. yesterday to assist the fire department. As they were extinguishing the firing and doing their preliminary searches of the area, we contained the exterior of the building. After the fire was extinguished, we worked with the fire department, the Red Cross, to help the displaced individuals, to get individuals, once the fire was out, to get them back into their apartments, to get necessary medical prescriptions, things of that nature, and then coordinated with getting essential items out of their residence. While the police department was on scene, we were notified by one of the managers that is at the building, is that they found an unresponsive male in a bathroom, separate and apart, in the same building but separate and apart from the actual fire incident location. AMR was contacted. That male was unresponsive and ultimately declared deceased on scene. It's a 26-year-old male, and the investigation into his death is still ongoing at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Russin, representing our Neighborhood and Business and Development Department, and our Code Enforcement Department is Commissioner Mike Collins.
Good morning. So I was on scene yesterday, immediately after the fire was extinguished. This is a building that has, like all the buildings here, long-standing history of code violations that management refuses to address. Unfortunately, that includes the safety lights, which we believe were not active during the fire, making it much more difficult for the residents and the firefighters. Elevators, the longest standing violations we've got here go back 686 days. This is a situation where we have worked very hard to make sure that we have not only documented, but we have now brought to court the ownership for this building to be able to make sure that the good people that live here have safe buildings to live in. And unfortunately, that's not the case. We have security issues as far as the building being accessible to people that are not residents, and many other violations throughout the building. I want to thank the residents that still do live here for the way that they were able to handle the most stressful situation you can have yesterday. Specifically, I want to call out Taisha Martin from CNY Fair Housing, who was already on scene when I got here and assisting the residents as well. There's a lot of good people that live here, and all they want is to make sure that for the rent that they're paying, they get what they deserve, and they are not getting it from this ownership, which is why code enforcement continues to do what we do and come up and cite it, and then have our law department bring the owners to court for their failures to address the issues.
Thank you. Just a brief statement, and then we will receive questions from you. This building was, this complex and campus was built around 1970. There are almost 700 units in the entire campus. It always stood as the model for quality housing. While at one time early on people didn't feel it was affordable, it became more affordable and people lived here. Quality housing. The ownership that has taken over has destroyed that legacy for this building, destroyed that history of quality housing for individuals in our community. Commissioner Collins has mentioned that we've already been in court. My corporation counsel has informed me that typically in these situations we request that receivership be put in place. That was the case. That is the case for Nob Hill. It is Fannie Mae. Clearly, the oversight for the building management is not sufficient. And so we will be returning to court to further pursue what we can do legally to ensure that the management and the ownership of this company. Now, let me also say that while the folks on the ground here probably get a lot of the grief, I will remind you it was one of the management team here who helped us to find the unfortunate person that we found deceased. I put this squarely on the responsibility of the people who bought this complex and have milked it for every dime it can get, clearly, because they are not overseeing the quality of life here. And so my code enforcement team has declared this building unfit. We'll go through a process to ensure that they meet all the requirements necessary to reopen it. I also want to thank not only CNY Fair Housing, but also the Red Cross, who always comes and partners with the fire department, our codes department, to secure placement for people. But they are displaced. And the management and the ownership of these complexes need to be held accountable. Yesterday afternoon, I called the local office of the Attorney General. Her office has a long history of working with us to address property owners who are not holding up to their responsibility of caring for the properties that they own and caring for the people who live in those properties. And so I talked to their local office. They have assured me this is going up to the top of her priority list, and I'll be following up with them again Monday when their office is open to follow up. This is absolutely unacceptable. And the mayor's office has had a history, and you better believe under my administration will continue to go to the courts for people who do not do what is required to keep their residents safe. Their buildings clean. This was a fire. We have pictures of of trash everywhere. Receptacles that are not taking trash where they want to go. The bins around this building that are just overflowing with trash. It is unacceptable. And let me be clear, many people will assume that this means that, oh, it's a subsidized building. A vast majority of these folks who live here do not receive any kind of rental assistance. They go to work, they pay the rent, and they expect what their rent pays for, and they are not getting it. We'll take questions.
Yeah, tenant representatives have spoken out for a really long time now. It's clear that every single one of you cares about the people who live in this building. First of all, what can they do on a more granular level, and how can they file a 7D and assure accountability?
Well, I do know that they are actively engaged in legal activity. We support that 100%. They have a right to speak on their behalves in the legal system to ensure that their voices are being heard. We will be partners with them in that legal service, and I have taken this up the chain to our New York State Attorney General, who you all know has come to assist the city of Syracuse when we have derelict owners in the midst of our city. Mike, do you want to talk about that?
So, correct. So, Building 3 has been declared by both code enforcement and fire as unfit for human occupancy. All of the other buildings do have existing violations, but they do not, at the moment, as entire buildings meet that standard.
The city has sued over conditions at this complex, so why are people still living in what we describe as unsafe housing?
We are not in the business of making people homeless due to code violations that do not rise to the standard of it being completely unfit for their own safety. And people are as Mayor Owens just said, they're going to work, they're coming home, they're paying the rent, they're doing everything they're supposed to do. It would be inappropriate for the city to then turn around and make them homeless because of the fact that their landlord is incompetent.
To what extent did code violations either lead up to the situation or contribute to it playing out like it did?
We would have to, I believe the fire investigation is still under, but I would refer to the chief of fire for that.
Do you believe it played a part?
I'm sorry, say again?
Do you believe it played a part?
I don't believe that this is the time to comment on it from code enforcement perspective.
Did the building have a sprinkler system? Did it function?
I'll again refer to chief of fire for that.
To my knowledge, this building doesn't have a sprinkler system, right, Chief Davis? No sprinkler system. The fire alarm system, we were talking through the codes this morning. We don't believe it was certified properly, but it actually worked to alert the fire department and 911 of the smoke condition in the building at the time of the fire. So we believe it was working. It still probably needs to be certified by a certified fire alarm company.
Nob Hill continues to advertise itself as the premier living situation that it once was. Is there any way to crack down on the advertising of it so that people don't fall into this situation to begin with?
That's a great point, and I'll follow up with my corporation counsel because it is false advertising. It once was the premier place to live. I do not want people who live here to believe that we are not invested. You live in an amazing part of the city of Syracuse, but it is the ownership right now who is failing you tremendously.
Have you been in contact with ownership since the fire happened?
Not since the fire has happened. Yeah, I'm talking through lawyers.
Did they have a representative on site? The ownership, do you know?
Do you all know? Was it?
Well, there was no communication with any ownership. The building maintenance workers, one of them showed up after the incident began. He was very helpful. He is a subordinate of the maintenance company, I believe. I did talk to him. He was located in New York City. So the people that maintain the building for the owners, they're in New York City, I believe. But there were some workers here yesterday that once we were able to make contact, we had given them some direction on what we needed, and they did very well with the needs we had yesterday. They tried their hardest.
I'm grateful for that assistance, but clearly it is not enough.
Two more questions, everyone. So were those workers able to provide like an accurate list of occupied units, or were they cooperative and helpful during that response?
Yes, that's what I understand.
Yeah, so as we were, the fire ended, we were trying to figure out who was supposed to be in the building, who was not, because of the squatters, and trying to make sense of that. The representatives from the maintenance company that were on scene did provide us with a list. We don't believe it was accurate to reflect what actually was occurring in the building. So from our information and talking with the residents, the names, the apartment numbers didn't line up to be accurate from what we found to be true when we were here yesterday.
Let me just say that there are clear responsibilities of a property owner. It is to keep it safe. It is to keep it clean. It is to ensure that the rent that people who live here are paying is being used for the purpose of maintaining the facility. The other thing that the owners are responsible for is knowing who is in your building. And so that is the first thing that they need to do, is ensure they know who is here legally and who is not.
Does it appear the death of the 26-year-old male, was that a result of the fire, or is it at this time unrelated? Do we know?
Yeah, at this time it's under investigation, so drawing a connection is too premature at this point. There's nothing to indicate right now, either way.
Last question.
Yes.
So were the two victims who were located, that was after the fire or during firefighting?
To Chief Russell's point, we found one victim inside the apartment that was on fire immediately during our firefighter operations. After firefighter operations, during our investigation, the second body was found in an area that was away from where the fire apartment was. Did that answer your question? Okay.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Just last statement. To the people who live here in this apartment, I see you over there. The city of Syracuse cares about you. We will continue to pursue every avenue available to us to ensure that you're living in quality housing and hold the people who own these buildings accountable. Thank you.